should just come out here after the intro, like with my oven mitts. I have a whole new oven though. I don't even live in that house anymore. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Astro War 2050 for the follow. Thank you, Sydney Pooch for being in the chat. Thank you, Torden Strike for being a part of this thing. Clearly Blurry. Zach Schlein, Drink at Work. Jamie, whoa, I see you with those fucking emotes, girl. I am so happy to welcome you all here to the first cat calls in literal months, okay? People, I have been moving. I've been having my heart broken. It's been a whole fucking life since we last saw each other on this stream. But it is more than my pleasure because I have such an incredible guest helping me break the ice. There's a pun there. Anyway, I want to have everyone give a huge round of applause to totally enormous extinct dinosaurs, everybody. Yes. What a fucking badass. Yes. Teed is one of my absolute favorites. Orlando Higginbottom is his real name. Best name in the game. I have been a huge fan of Teed since his debut album Trouble was released in 2012. And while it has been 10 years between that album and his most recent release, When the Lights Go, which just came out on his own label, Nice Age, on Friday, he has not been absent from the scene at all. No, he's been working hard, DJing all over the world. He earned a Grammy nomination for his collaboration with Bonobo last year, okay? He recently appeared on Porter Robinson's album Nurture, the only feature on that LP, which is a pretty cool look, if you ask me. And he's learned a lot about the dance music industry, the music industry, what he likes about it, what he doesn't like about it, and he's been telling everyone all about his likes and dislikes on this big fat press tour that he's been on this week in support of the album, which I am so proud to be a part of, because When the Lights Go is a brilliant follow-up, well worth the wait. It dares to count 17 incredible songs in an era when half the artists at work are forcing themselves to release songs that are like 1 minute and 30 seconds because they're trying to appease to the almighty TikTok algorithm. But we love a man who sticks by his guns, and Totally Enormous Extinct Dinosaurs is absolutely that. And yes, Clearly Blurry, Teed is on fire. And we're going to get Teed on the call in just a second. On the way there, while I'm calling him, I want to play for you the single Never Seen You Dance from his album. It's so good. The video is really cute as well. Tell me what you think about it while I'm calling Teed. And when we come back, he's going to be on the phone with us, and make sure you have your own questions because, as always, this is your show as much as it is my show, and I want to make sure that your questions get asked to Teed as well. Okay, I love you. Thank you so much for being here. Never seen you dance while the song plays. How long? I have Teed. See, I wasn't lying. Teed is actually here.
Hello.
Say hello. And
hello.
We were just having a little bit of mini convo before, but Astro War, I do want you to know that I let Teed know that you think his vocals will make any track, and he accepted your very kind compliment.
Thank you very much. That's so sweet of you to say.
And you were saying that, well, before we get into all that, I just got really curious about where the Never Seen You Dance video was filmed. I think it's a really wonderful, heartwarming video. And I love that you're playing the cool librarian who is letting everybody dance in the library. But what library is that?
That's at San Diego University, and it's named after, and I've forgotten now, but it's named after the guy who wrote the Dr. Seuss books.
Oh, the guy who wrote the Dr. Seuss books? Isn't his name Dr. Seuss? Or is his like actual name?
Yeah, it's got a real name, yeah.
I literally just...
character.
Yeah, but his real name is like Suzel, blah, 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 Suzel or something. I literally just unpacked my books today and I have a stack of them. I could run and get them, but Giesel, that's it. Theodore Seuss Giesel. Thank you, Torden Strike and Zach Schlein for coming in with the actual answer. Well, I can't Google.
It's the Giesel Library in San Diego University. And it's a beautiful, like, brutalist is the wrong word, but I think that's what the era of architecture is, because it's actually not there's nothing brutal about it. It's
Yeah.
really lovely and flowery,
Has a
and
lot
but
of
it's all
beautiful
concrete.
lines. I see.
Yeah,
Well, I thought it was beautiful. Do you dance? Do you like to dance? I've never really seen you dance, Orlando.
I'm not a big dancer. I love, it happens sort of once a year, maybe. I like get down. And then the rest of the time, I'm more of a standing in the corner, like having a little wiggle kind of guy.
Ooh, having a little wiggle. Love that. Love a
But
wiggle.
sometimes I really freak out. But it's rare.
What song most recently, whether that was a year ago or two, made you freak out?
I wish I knew. I can't remember. I mean, like the music that makes me, like the dance music that makes me dance the most is drum and bass,
Fuck yes.
or like, I don't know, like James Brown records, like just like sexy funk music. There was I heard a really good house record the other day by I got to find it because it's like the best house record I've heard this year.
I need to know. I love that you are a low key drum and bass head, though.
It's not low key.
It's not. You're a big high key drum and bass fan. I guess I just didn't know that about you.
I live for it.
I didn't know that about you. That's so cool. I'm from Florida originally and am currently, and we are big drum and bass fans. Orlando Breaks got your name in it. It was a whole genre of like drum and bass offshoot. Are you familiar?
No.
I love this. I love this tie-in.
Okay, Luxury SA, Crazy Vibes. It's South African house music, and it's the best deep house record of the year. That I had a good dance to that on my own recently.
Awesome. I'm gonna file that away. I'm gonna note that.
Yes, drum and bass. We can talk about drum and bass all day.
My friend Zach is reminding me, did you do a drum and bass night during Holy Ship 2019 that I just don't remember?
Yes, I did.
You did? Fuck me. Wow. Bye, brain cells.
Well, it wasn't. So I've done it. The two Holy Ships that I've done, both times I've done drum and bass sets. One was, the more recent one was with Miha. She was kind of hosting it. And then there was another one where me and Justin Martin and Colvin Stroke a bit played together.
Oh my God. Are you one of those folks who swears drum and bass is coming back? Like, I feel like everyone who's a drum and bass fan for the last 20 years has been like, it's coming back, it's coming back, it's coming back.
I mean, it's never not there.
I agree.
And it's so resilient, and it's so like, because it was always kind of ignored by the music industry for all kinds of bad reasons. And it's like built on resilience. So it is just like, and people who are into it, they love it more than people who are into house music love house, and I'll die on that hill.
I agree, yeah.
And obviously over the last 3 years, there's been like sort of two resurgences. There's been like a new drum and bass thing where like people are making like good modern drum and bass. And then there's this whole like 19-year-olds making jungle music thing, which is awesome. Like, try not to patronize them, but it's great. Like, you're not inventing anything, but like I love that they love the sound, and that's all wonderful.
Yeah.
So both those things are happening at the same time, and I think like there's also like a like tech house fatigue out there. So this sound just sounds so exciting, and drum and bass is just like, it's great. It's just great music.
Anytime I hear dun dun da dun dun da, like my whole body is just gonna like spasm. Like I can see now that would make you dance.
Yeah.
What's your favorite? I want to know your favorite drum and bass song now.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm gonna plug some stuff.
Please.
I have a playlist. I have playlists on my Spotify that one of them is called Car. They're all named after rooms in the house and stuff. And one of them is called Car, and that's all drum and bass and jungle, and a bit of stuff around that. But I would say it's the definitive drum and bass playlist on the internet, maybe. So check that out.
Will immediately.
But I couldn't pick a favorite. I'd have to like do, maybe my top 100.
So you're like, please just go listen to the playlist. Like,
Yeah.
I've already done the
It's
fucking
the,
work.
it's the only music I still collect.
Yeah, yeah. Bearded Jeffrey says your room playlists are phenomenal. So we have room playlist fans in the chat.
Yes. Thank you for listening. I've been doing them without reward for about 8 years. No one gives a damn, but I'm like, this is my favorite thing about Spotify.
See, that's the thing. You don't know that people don't give a damn because Bearded Jeffrey's out here fucking banging heads. Like, you know, you just don't know. But I'm sure every artist is intimately familiar with the feeling of screaming into the void and just wondering if, like, anybody anywhere gives a single shit. So
Yeah.
it's part of the
That's
fun.
for sure.
Okay, before I get into all of my questions, Thomas Keating wanted to know what made you do the house parties that led you to talk to Bonobo, parentheses, might be getting that wrong, and are they still happening, LOL.
Uh-huh. So it wasn't a house party, it was a really small party that we did in LA, me and my friend Lauren, who runs Rhonda, the LA party.
I know Lauren. Yeah, shout out Lauren and the Rhonda crew.
Love to the Rhonda crew. And when I moved to LA, I was like, I can't be another transplant here who doesn't contribute in any way. It just felt like kind of corny to just turn up. So I wanted to throw like a low-key kind of industry party. And by industry party, I just mean like not like an actual money-making commercial event, just like it was a Monday night thing. So only people who work all weekend are going to come anyway. And we didn't promote it at all. We did 35 or 36 Mondays in a row, I think. Wow. And I had $500. They were going to give us $500 a party. And I just put that behind the bar, and whoever walked in, I bought them a drink. And that was it. And then we played music, and we had like a strict music policy. There was basically no programmed 4/4 kick drums, so everything was like organic, lyric, kind of like 100 BPM soul records and stuff and weird stuff. And Simon Bonobo started coming to that, and Amtrak came to that, Durante came to that. I think Durante and Amtrak came to every single one. And I love those boys so much.
Me too.
And like, that's where we became friends. And same with Simon, really. Same with Bonobo, really. Boys Noise came through. Like loads of people like who were there for the weekend or whatever came through and like played records. And we had some mad ones, and we had some ones where like there were 25 people there. So it was a really good thing to do.
That's so fun.
And no, it doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, too bad. So sad. I do love that you name dropped all those people, though. I went to college with Durante, and that's like...
No way.
Yeah, I did. I remember when he was just like a wee boy who was like, will you listen to my song and tell me what you think? And I was like, you're literally a star. Like, just do whatever. Yeah. So it's a heartwarming tale to hear for me. I love that you decided to come to LA and participate in the culture. I imagine that LA is kind of a strange place to be. Like, you are a fella who named himself Totally Enormous Extinct Dinosaurs simply because you didn't want to have a name that could ever be taken as too serious or too cool. And I feel like LA is like the too cool capital of the world. So I'm glad that you were able to carve out your own little home base there. What were your first impressions when you first got to LA?
Well, I've been coming on tour a bit, and I'd stayed a few times and worked on records and stuff. So I had this idea of a sort of lonely, strange city with like pockets of magic, and like it was something like mysterious about it and romantic about it. And I knew that I would have a chance to grow if I moved to LA. There was like space for me to become, I don't know, just to grow. Like I'm talking personally, not like in any kind of career way. Like I didn't come here for the music industry, believe me. Like, no.
Interesting.
I came here because it's beautiful and hot. And, at the time, you could rent a whole house, Like, I had a whole house.
Was it like, wait, was it 10 years ago when you moved there?
Yeah, like, well, 8 or something. But, it was things have gone up like 2 or 3 grand, you know, since then. So
Yeah.
it was a great place for musicians to come, and like, don't forget that, like, people moved here because it was cheap, and it isn't cheap anymore. So that was why I came, because I could kind of disappear and focus on work and have a sort of trippy time in a beautiful place. And I couldn't do that in London or anything like that. You know, it's impossible. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Are you back in LA now?
I'm back in LA now. I'm looking for a new place for a bit. Yeah.
I love you're in your studio. No one can really see the sides the way I can, but you have like at least 4 or 5 visible keyboards, which is wonderful. Okay, so I want to jump into talking about the album. Did you write most of this album while you were living in LA? Was it something that I know you've been working on it basically since the last album ended, if I'm not wrong?
Basically.
Well, I applaud you for releasing a massive, what could very easily be a double album. It's got 17 tracks on it. That's very antithetical to the, like, let's get quick TikTok clips up there for the world. So congratulations. How do you feel now that it's actually out and you were able to put this message out into the world?
Good. I feel silly. It's part of the beauty of creating and putting something out into the world is that it's in part a futile act. Like, it's insane behavior. And so I'm enjoying that feeling of, on the one hand, like, sort of feeling rewarded by the process, and on the other hand, it's like, well, that's completely meaningless. And both things are sort of true, and it's interesting to be in that space. But to go back to the beginning of your question, apart from 2 tracks on this record, they were all written in LA and recorded and produced here, and then I mixed it in London, and then I went to Lisbon and I added 2 more songs when I was living in Lisbon for a bit last year.
Nice. My friends just got back from a trip to Portugal and they're freshly obsessed with it. It's a beautiful city, a beautiful country. Well, Clearly Blurry says that they hope you feel proud because the record is extraordinary. And Bearded Jeffrey says it was very much worth the wait, which I agree with. And
Thank you
you've
so much,
also put this out on your own label. You have taken the reins of your professional career and are in the control seat, which makes it even funnier, I think, to hear that you're like in this place of, wow, this is incredibly rewarding and also incredibly meaningless.
Yeah, and that's nice this time because I am responsible for it, and it is my record label, and it is like I'm entirely accountable. Can I swear? Can I curse?
Yeah, say whatever the fuck you want.
Okay, I'm entirely accountable for this bullshit. So
Yes.
like that makes it feel grounded and cool. So when it's not, you know, this isn't going to be a hit record, right? Like, but no one's saying to me that it needs to be.
Yeah.
And I'm not turning around looking for anybody to blame, and nobody's blaming me for whether it's working or not or anything like that. It's like, it's my mess. So I'm going to be rewarded for it, and I'm going to be responsible for it. And that just feels much cleaner to me and much better. And I recommend it to any musician. Like,
Yeah.
you have to do a lot of work, but it's worth it.
I am really that's an interesting thing to hear for me. I have been on a journey over the last couple years, I guess, really started with this stream, which I started in the pandemic, like of, you know, I've been working as a journalist for a decade as well, and I've worked with some really big names, but it's such a different act to step outside and say, hey, I'm gonna make something that is just myself, my own thing, outside of somebody's really big recognizable brand name or something. And there's a lot of excitement that comes with that. I always feel like so jazzed after a conversation like this or releasing one of my newsletters, but there's also moments that are the opposite of that, where I'm like weird self-doubt and negative talk, and I'm just like, does anyone care? Like, will anyone take it seriously if it's not attached to somebody else? And like, I like your approach to that of, well, it's my fucking mess whichever way it goes, so I can stand proudly by it. Because I wanted to hear, you know, what helps you in a moment where you're looking at it and you're thinking more, oh, this is a mess. Is it just that mantra of like, well, at least it's mine, like the Pulp song, like, it's my mess?
What helps me in those tricky moments? Well, I definitely rely on my friends who are also musicians, and I call them up and I tell them what's going on, and they inevitably say, yeah, same, you know, like this, yeah, that's what I had last month, you know. So sharing it with people who also experience it. Right now, there's a lot of chat with everybody about like touring and how impossible touring is becoming, and like, you know, working for months on a show, taking a show out for months and not making any money, like, is just absolutely absurd. It's completely ridiculous, but we've persuaded ourselves that this is like an okay model for adult life, and it's not. And, you know, there's a big conversation going on about that at the moment. And you'd be amazed at how big these artists are that can't make it break even, let alone pay themselves. So sharing it with friends, and then, you know, sitting down and fixing it. Like, and sometimes that means being pretty firm with people, telling people you expect them to do better work for you, or firing them, or whatever it takes. And like, that has to happen too.
I really loved the op-ed that you did for Billboard Dance. I think that came out today, and I read it, and I feel like you're kind of hinting at some of the wonderfully eloquent points that you made in that list, and I'll share it with everyone here or in my newsletter or whatever. I almost cried when you wrote the bit about the value of music, and, you know, you had this incredibly touching sentence about your own grandmother in there, which really helped with the waterworks element. But I loved the way that you expressed how music, you know, its value can sometimes be defined by data points, but so often it can't be, and that is in itself a really fresh reminder.
Yes, and I think we've got really lost in looking at the numbers. I think that people have forgotten that, like, most of your fans don't fucking follow you. Like,
right.
That they don't, and like, they don't give a shit about what you're writing on Instagram or Twitter or something like that. They couldn't give a fuck. Like, they know your song and they might buy a ticket, but like, they're your listeners. They love the stuff. I don't know. It's like, we've gone way far down the rabbit hole with that stuff. And there's sort of like engagement wars, you know.
I know. I you also made a point that I am always trying to make to people as well. Like, I love to say, let social media be a tool for you. Don't be a tool for social media, you know? And like I was telling my friend the other day about how people are making so many reels because Instagram literally will prioritize reel content over photographs or whatever. But like, if you're a photographer, like, don't feel so stressed out that you have to make a bunch of fucking reels to learn how to do this other thing. Like, just do the art that makes you feel proud of yourself. And like, that's going to leave a better taste in your mouth, is the way I feel.
Yeah, and people will find your work, and they will hire you, and they will find you. Like, I can see my data, for example, on Instagram, and I can see how many people click through links to actually listen to songs and stuff, and it's nobody. Like, it's nobody. Like, 5,000 people will see the thing, 30 people will click the link. Like, So I'm not doing it. We shouldn't be ever doing this stuff to like drive sales directly or drive listens directly. It's about awareness. And if it's about awareness, then just do cool fucking shit. Like,
Yeah, totally.
make people aware of cool shit. Like, we need to stop. And I'm guilty of this, please. Like, I don't want to, I'm not preaching from a point of innocence here. Like, we get really lost in, yeah, like I said, engagement.
Yeah.
It's very meaningless. It's very meaningless.
I also think that it's totally all right to give yourself advice while you're giving other people advice as well, or remind yourself of the very good points that you believe and still have trouble sticking to, because I think we all do that all the time. But Torden Strike has a question. Do you have any advice for younger artists who are wanting to do indie self-releases but are just starting out? And is it worth it to do that when you're unestablished? Or is it still maybe a good goal to land on a label with a release when you haven't had that sort of exposure yet?
Well, I think you should explore all the options. I think you should find out what's stopping you from doing any of them. So if it is a self-release type situation that you're looking at, figure out what are the things that you don't know how to do. Why aren't you doing it tomorrow? Is it because the music's not ready? Is it because you don't know what a distributor is? Like, what is it? And then, like, work out if you can do it or not. If you are wanting to do something with a record label, the important thing is to know what your options are in terms of a deal. And, for example, don't sign the copyright away for life. Do like a 5-year license. Don't give a label more than 50%. Like, just don't. You don't have to. So know those things and go in with confidence. And if people aren't going to treat you right, do it yourself. Like, go somewhere where someone will treat you right, because you don't know what's going to happen. This might be the only piece of music you put out. It might be the beginning of like 10 years of music making. And you want it to be a nice, healthy beginning. You're setting the tone. But what do I think you should do? I think that you should try self-releasing, and if it's a great experiment, it's a great experiment. There might be a label that comes along after the track's been out for a year and goes, hey, can we license this? It's great. But you'll learn a lot out of it. You'll build a community out of it. There's DJ acts at the moment that have come up through the Bandcamp scene amazingly over the last couple of years, and just like through putting out loads and loads of music and like building a community there, and I've loved seeing that. And in fact, the funny thing about those acts is they've grown and grown and grown, and I'm sure labels approach them all the time to do stuff, and they don't have to do it because they're just like, no, we've built this thing now. Like, we're going around the world because we just put out a couple of tracks on Bandcamp every month. So yeah, my vote is self-release or find a label that are going to treat you right.
Yeah, I fuck with that. I also just say, yeah, fuck it. Put your music out there and like let it be heard by people, because while it's just sitting on your hard drive, it's definitely not doing anything. So you might as well just share. You never know what's going to happen unless you try something.
You never know what's going to happen. Yeah. The number one rule about the promotion of your music when you're starting out that people find difficult, but it is the thing that's going to make it work or not, is that it starts with your friends, and you have to promote it to your friends and share it with your friends and get them to shout about it and get them excited, and just spread it through your own network. And that's how things can start. You can't just put something online and not shout about it. No one's just going to find your amazing track.
Especially in today's day and age where there's like a bajillion songs and the easiest and hardest access to music ever. Like, I was talking to Amtrak recently about how it was so wonderful during the period of time when we were teenagers and you could sit and you'd read through the whole booklet of the CD or album or whatever, and that part of it is kind of lost, but there are things that have been gained in that trade-off. But I do love sitting and just living with an album. I'll forever be an album an album girl. Are you feeling like you're gonna have more? Wait, hold on a second. I read that you wrote like 100 songs that you whittled down for this album, and you put them into these categories. And this one, the album that actually came out, it was all the sad as shit songs.
Yeah.
But that means that there's like perhaps a feverish teen album waiting in the wings, or what was the other one? Anxious teen.
There's a hopeful one. There's a hopeful.
Okay,
record.
good. Are we ever maybe gonna see the light? Like, is this the beginning of an unleashing?
I hope so. Yeah, I really hope so. My ambition is for there to be a lot of music over the next 5 years. And certainly albums, and and I've got so much stuff I want to make, and that's written already. It just needs finishing, or like, sketched out or whatever. So yeah, it's coming for sure.
Was the act of saying to yourself, finally, like with finality, I'm going to self-release this album, the kind of dam break that was keeping this, that had to happen for your music to start coming out? Were you, is the reason it's taken 10 years that you've been struggling with how and why?
That's a big part of it. Definitely a major factor. And it was I was thinking about self-releasing for a long time, but it was only in the last 2 years that I was like, I think I know how to do this, and I think I found the people who can help me do this, and I think that I can get all the same results that I would get with a record label, which I have done.
Yeah, you're doing fucking great. I'm loving the media blitz that I feel like is coming out right now, and again, so happy to like have my own chance to play a part in you talking about this album. I had a question that I want to ask you, but clearly Blurry has one since I forgot mine. How did the Porter Robinson collaboration come about?
Porter heard my song Don't You Forget About Me, or the other one that came out at the time, Leave a Light On.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can't remember if he sent me a message or if Yassi, his photographer, who's a friend of mine, Yasmin, passed on that he was digging it or something. And then we got speaking, but the funny thing is that I'd been wanting to meet and chat to Porter ever since Worlds came out.
Oh, yeah. He's such a great chat too.
Yeah. He's an interesting guy. He's very smart and lovely.
Yeah.
So there was some mutual admiration, basically, and and then we jammed and we made a song, and I love it, and I'm very grateful to be, a very, very tiny, small part of his canon and his impact on electronic music and indie music, which I think is pretty significant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's really moving into that space of, it's, LCD Sound System. I constantly am thinking about that line and losing my edge. That's like, I heard you and all your friends are selling your guitars and buying turntables, blah, blah, blah. I heard you and all your friends are selling your turntables and buying guitars because you want to make something real. And I feel like there's this constant back and forth with music in that way. And like, we're coming back around to the selling your turntables and buying guitars because you want to make something real era. And you started your career in this, like, I sing and I write songs and I make songs, even though the songs on your first album, definitely when you re-listen to them, have bits of that bombastic, the big club EDM era energy, but it still was very indie dance. And now here we are again after years of being Mr. DJ Man, like coming back to I love the live tour announcement you did on YouTube, where you just take the DJ set down and you put the live set back up.
Thank you for watching that.
Are you like, yeah, it's so good. Are you like very much planting a flag in the I want to return to songs and song. I guess you never really left the songs and songwriting camp, but
It's coincidence.
yeah,
Honestly.
yeah.
I mean, for example, with those two songs, Leave a Light On and Don't You Forget About Me, I had those finished. They came out in 2018, but I had them finished in like 2015.
Wow, yeah.
And there was definitely a whole album of stuff I could have put out in 2016. Like, I'm just late with this shit. That's what happened. I'm late. Like, I'm very behind my schedule. But yeah, it's always interesting to look at the bigger cycles of where things are at. And,
So you're saying you've just been here and now it's coming back around just in time for you to finally get your shit out the door.
You know what? I don't think it is, though. I don't think it is. I think that, like, there's a temptation to see those parallels, but I think there's been indie dance music since like 1983.
That's true.
And it's never stopped.
Ever since post-punk started, it's been a fucking indie dance scene if you want to see it. Yeah, that's true.
And I don't think that suddenly, you know, it doesn't feel like there's an LCD Sound System revival going on. They're just touring. That's all. Like, all musicians have to tour. That's it.
You hear that? The Pebble in the Sky is a good segue. Was wondering which song is the oldest from this album, which they are loving, by the way, and which one took the longest to figure out?
Well, could be it's the same track here. So Never Seen You Dance I started the longest time ago.
Wow.
Like, I had the chords, and I had the vocal, the verse melody, the beginning, the first 4 lines. For a really, really long time, and I did endless different versions of it, sometimes working with producers, sometimes on my own, and different tempos, different keys, all kinds of things. So that's the oldest, and there definitely were a lot of versions. So maybe that's both answers to that question.
What was the final aha moment with that song?
The post-chorus, or what became the kind of chorus. So after the high line, Only for the Hope of One Kiss, I reintroduced that Don't You Want My Love line and the sort of funky synth.
Yeah, I can hear it.
And that's because that wasn't there until like a week before I finished it. And then I was like, oh, that's what it needed. It just needed to go back and drop out a bit. So that's when it came together.
I feel that. That part really hits home.
Thank you.
Thomas Keating wants to know if you'd ever show the demos of the album. They'd love to hear an early version of Never Seen You Dance, or Blue is the Color, specifically.
Oh, I'm glad that you like Blue is the Color. Blue is the Color demo is a voice note where I'm going dum 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 doo 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 doo. I'm just singing that, and then I wrote the melody. I sort of like sung. But you're never hearing that. Never Seen You Dance. Yeah, one day I would be interested to do stuff like that. I mean, it would probably be interesting to some people. There are like very different versions of that song. I wonder how I could do that. I'm not really like a come into the studio guy on social media.
Right.
But I think if it was technically easier for me to do that, I'd quite enjoy it, because it might be interesting for people. It'd certainly be interesting to me to try and describe the process.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of scared of like all the sort of like Twitch cameras and stuff. I'm like, oh, I don't know how to just set this stuff up.
It's funny because I'm such a Bobo version of a streamer, but if you could even see the like, I have like 17 weird lamps pointed at me right now. And like, I just moved into this house, so it's definitely not the setup that it's gonna be, but I feel you. It's a whole weird beast. Although Thomas Keating would be over the moon, I'm pretty sure, if you ever decide to dare to try it. And I'm Zebula. Have either of you guys heard the Don't You Forget About Me remix by Jay Kutch? That's how they found you. I have not.
I think I have.
But wait. Have you ever heard a drum and bass remix of your own song? Have you ever made one?
Well, there are some.
Well, I'm sorry that I have not heard them, but I will immediately.
There's a Caliber remix of Garden that's like a huge drum and bass tune. It's big in the scene. And then there's the Russian guy N.I., N.E., I can't remember how you say his name, E-N-E-I, did a remix of Household Goods, and I've just commissioned one from somebody else for this album.
Oh, that's so exciting. You're working on the remixes for this album.
Mm-hmm. And I've also done a drum and bass remix myself of quite a big EDM artist's record that'll be out in a month or so. We'll see.
Oh, that's so exciting. Okay, well, I do apologize for having slept on all of the wonderful D&B tea.
Unbelievable.
Cancel me, folks. Clearly Blurry's excited about all that information as well. I'm excited for the remix T&B. Very good pun. Very good pun. Okay, I remember what I was going to ask you now. I love the title of your label, Nice Age. I feel like A, it's very positive, but B, there's something kind of fun about it sounding like Ice Age and your name being totally enormous extinct dinosaurs. Like, I don't know, it's a cute little pun. But what defines Nice Age as a label and as a concept? Like, what is the Nice Age of existence? Are we forever striving for it?
Yeah, I don't know, because the label's been around for a minute, and I've obviously released a bunch of other artists on it, and I've put out some tracks on it. The first track was a collab I did with Anna Luno, and then there's been like a Durante record and stuff, and I think that the label, in terms of releasing other people's music, I didn't really get my hands into it enough, and I don't think I achieved what I wanted to achieve with it. And we did like some tours and parties and stuff, but it never really became like stable, and I think that was because I was more focused on my own music and there wasn't time for me to like get into that stuff. So it's a funky thing, man. I don't know what Nice Age is, but it's working now.
I love it. I'm a fan. I want to know what the title When the Lights Go is. It for a second I was thinking like, oh, is it perhaps a reference to when you get back on stage and it's like, oh, when the lights go on or off. I mean, the thing is, I love that you don't actually have a verb. Go as a verb. You don't have an adverb there, which leaves it very fun, open to interpretation. But it could also be when the lights go because all of humanity has died and electricity has stopped functioning.
Carry on.
I can just keep yelling. I guess that's the fun of it, is I can just keep shouting.
Yeah. I mean, that is, you're in the right zone. It's deliberately several of those things.
Yeah.
And certainly related to sort of disco and city and the kind of flashing lights of the city, the twinkling lights of the city. It's also, I mean, it's almost ridiculous how many sort of like potential fun meanings there are. Definitely a big one of the album is like depression and feeling crappy, and also like it's related to sort of like getting blackout drunk, which you know has been a problem of mine in previous times, and so it's all of these things, and it's at your discretion.
I just had a wonderfully fun vision of a teed t-shirt where it just says when the lights go over and over again, and then like in different colors, different words to finish the phrase.
Well, you can make that.
I will make that. I also, congratulations on being sober for 10 months.
Thank you.
Yeah,
This is kombucha, by the way.
Somebody was wondering. I do love kombucha. The LA, the California gets it with that kombucha. You just can't stop drinking it. But I also resonate with that message because I had a put one on experience on Saturday, and then it's like the next day it was one of those hangovers that's also full of anxiety, and you just like have that uneasy feeling because you're just like, what the fuck even happened to my body?
Yeah.
And I think, I'm at a place right now, which you're kind of speaking to, where, I have all these like big ideas and things that I want to do and goals that I want to achieve, and they're for me and they're for myself. And it takes a lot of self-confidence to like push yourself to do those things when it's just for you. And I feel like drinking can sometimes sabotage yourself. And maybe that's part of why people drink. But
Yes, definitely. There is definitely self-sabotage in partying.
Yeah.
100%. And that's fine. That's cool.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things there. There's self-soothing, there's self-sabotage. I think that, like, I certainly recognize that I didn't mind a bad hangover. Like, I really didn't mind it because it meant that I could have a day off and I could spend a day just focusing on not dying. So I wouldn't be thinking about all my shit because I'd just be like, right, if I can get this ice cream down, I can go back to bed.
That's so sadly real. Like,
it's
fuck me.
fucking real. Like,
Yeah.
people choose to fuck themselves up so that they can't deal with the stuff that they don't want to deal with. So there's not even an option to deal with it.
Yeah. But then it's like not even really that constructive use of downtime, because it's not like
terrible.
you've just given yourself a fucking day off, which we all deserve, by the way. This is your sign from the universe to take a day off, people. But like, yeah, you're actually just like desperately trying to like eat a slice of pizza or not fucking die. Yeah. What's been the best realization? I've had moments where I like was sober for 3 months and then, as an exercise, and probably should just adopt it full time. But I was always really amazed in those moments of like it felt like parts of my personality were coming back that I had like forgotten, or like parts of, I don't know if it's my inner child waking back up. But what has your experience been with so much sobriety now behind you? Like, have there been eye-opening moments?
Yeah, I mean, everything is better, and I'm definitely not someone who's like, hey, everyone needs to fucking sober up. Like,
Right.
No. I just wanted to do it, but my sort of like general like anxiety level is much, much, much lower, and if I do feel anxious, I can deal with it in like 8 minutes. Like, I'm like, let's face this thing and sort it out, and I'm through it. So that means that there isn't like a build-up of it. I'm more confident. I think I'm a nicer person. I think I have more awareness of being kind and making space to listen to people. I lost weight. I'm healthier. My skin's better. My asthma's better. I sleep better. Everything is improved. And I have like 2 more whole days in a week,
Yeah,
just to, like,
true.
to do stuff that's good for me. And certainly with this year and like an album and touring and stuff, like, I knew I needed to be giving myself the chance to be on form. And another year, if I'd released an album, believe me, I would have had like a week of partying to like celebrate it. And I'm sure I'd still be like online doing my thing, but it would be all kind of like this manic, like wheel just turning and like, sleep, drink, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
And I wouldn't really be aware of what was going on.
Mm-hmm. So, I feel that.
I mean, that touches on some of it. Excuse me.
No, please. Well, Astro War says you're glowing.
Thank you. Woo! That's all I care about. Yeah.
He got the big old water too, people. He's about his hydrating and his probiotics. Yeah. Well, I fully support. Not everyone needs to be sober, but like, give it a fucking try. Like, definitely try it on for size.
Find out, and I don't know how long this is gonna last, but I know that my relationship with alcohol is changed.
Yeah.
And that feels really, really good.
Yeah. Well, speaking of getting back into the environment that used to be a party toilet shit show. You're going on tour very soon, and as the video suggests, it is not a DJ set tour, it is a live tour. I'm very excited about that. You're not coming to Florida, which is unfortunate, so I'm going to have to come and find you somewhere else in the country to experience it.
I'm sure I'll come to Miami at some point.
Okay, good. I love to hear that. I mean, I actually saw you on my birthday a million years ago at a club called Bardot in Miami, and it was a great fucking time. Thank you. But I'd love to hear about the live show that you have planned so far. Is it in the planning process? It's not just a hope. It's a well, I guess you are like heading out like very soon.
It's real. I've got a month. It's real, and I'm shitting myself. And
it's because you're drinking all that good kombucha. You know, you're regular now.
Thank you. It's gonna be different from how it used to be in a lot of ways, but also I think it's gonna be different from a lot of electronic stuff because there's not going to be any kind of like special effects, lights or lasers or anything. It's just going to be me on stage doing the songs, and it's going to be like a one-man like karaoke show basically. So it's going to be very, very simple. I'm not going to like pretend to be playing any instruments that I'm not playing.
Love that. The old smacking the mechanical drum.
I hate those things. I hate the drum pads. I hate them.
You heard it here first, folks.
So yeah, I hope people are gonna like it, but I just think that like we've all seen the ceiling now of where like high production stuff is. It's not impressive anymore to have confetti cannons and stuff. It's fun, but like we've all seen it, and I can't afford it anyway. So I have to do something that's more humble, and so I'm just going to lean into that and see what happens if it's kind of like an anti-EDM show.
I love it. Anti-EDM.
Figured it out.
Fuck, folks. We did it. We're geniuses. Everyone. Oh, girl Jackie, hi. Everyone's hoping you come for Art Basel during Miami, by the way. I don't know. Maybe. Well, I'll speak to my local promoter
you guys sort your hotel prices out, and I'll think about it.
Oh, God. I know. I'm really upset. You know, speaking of rising rent prices, like during the pandemic, every fucking New Yorker and Californian moved to Florida. So now I too am fucked by higher rent prices and bullshit hotels. But, you know, I'm sure you could find a couch just yeah, my friend Astro War says you can stay at his place if you have to stay somewhere at all. People are willing to welcome extinct dinosaurs into their home. Okay, I will let you go soon, but I have just a couple more questions. I have to know if you have a favorite dinosaur.
I do not. I have no passion nor interest for dinosaurs at all.
Really? Your favorite dinosaur is an extinct dinosaur?
I don't, there's no actual connection to dinosaurs with this project.
Well, you used to wear a dinosaur costume. Do you still have your dinosaur costumes hidden away somewhere in a closet?
There is a box of things somewhere, but there won't be any more dinosaurs.
Yes, I know. We packed the costumes away and we put some mothballs in the box, but it was a fun, funky little era. Okay, Zach Schlein wants to know, do you have any highfalutin philosophy around how you conduct yourself as a selector when you're DJing? Are there any particular DJs or parties that inspired your personal approach to the decks?
Okay, nice question. This man is clearly a DJ. Well, my favorite DJ moments in my own career and watching other people play have been when people take big risks and play something wild and wacky, or play something quiet or too fast or whatever. Like this just feels like always so fresh and nice. So that would be something I would suggest. Just don't worry about clearing the dance floor, man. It doesn't matter. Like, people go out every weekend. If they want to go to the bar for 5 minutes, they can go to the bar. Like, play your ambient track. Fuck it. And highfalutin. Well, you can never be too prepared. I certainly always feel underprepared. You can't have too much music. You can't have it too well cataloged in your USBs and stuff. And, you know, you've always got to have something, though. You've always got to have one track with you that you're so excited to play. You've got to have that. Like, there's got to be something new that you found that you've never played before and you just know it's going to go off. Like, always have that tune, just so you're excited, in like a kind of childish way. That's really important.
Oh, I love that. You gotta keep the childlike innocence alive. It's hard these days. You gotta manufacture your own joy sometimes. Oh my god. For those of us DJs with lowbrow taste, do you have any falutin tips?
Oh yeah. Well, I don't think people play enough reggae music.
Oh yeah, okay.
I don't think people play enough dub. I think that, like, lowbrow taste. What am I saying? Reggae's great.
Yeah, but you know what? It does feel a bit more low to the ground sometimes when you're listening to it.
For saving me
you're a bit stoned in the club, so you're just kind of head nodding. Somebody suggested more Venga Boys, which I also support.
Yeah, that's fine. I was listening to a Ferry Corsten tune this morning, like a properly classic, that System F tune, trance record, and I was thinking about, like, that's probably like 132 BPM or something. I was like, I could play this at like 110.
Yes.
They're gonna lose their minds.
I fuck with that. Okay. And a more serious question, I suppose. Were the songs on the Distance EP ever planned to be a part of the new album, or was it always intended to be a separate project?
Is that a real fan asking me a question? That's a fan. Thank you, whoever that is, for paying attention.
It's clearly blurry.
I wanted to put out, because I was aware that this album was going to be very, like, song based, and there was going to be, like, ballads and stuff on it. I wanted to kind of, like, get out some electronica, broadly speaking, first, and kind of, like, tick that box for me and for my listeners, and do that kind of separately from the album. These tracks on the Distance EP never really fitted on the album. They were too electronic. But they feel like part of the same era to me. And I'll definitely, like, play bits of them in the live show and stuff. But yeah, it was separated for a reason, and I think it works like that.
Yeah. Okay. I am so thankful to you for taking so much lovely time out of your lovely day. We are about at an hour from when our actual interview started. One more. I've always felt that The Sleeper was a subconscious sequel to Don't You Forget About Me. Do you think that's accurate?
I don't think I would have written The Sleeper without having made Don't You Forget About Me. That's definitely the case. Lyrically, they are not related. The Sleeper, Don't You Forget About Me is... No, this is the wrong way to put it. The Sleeper is a dark song. Like, that's a deeply unhappy song. Probably the saddest personal song on the album.
That, like,
Don't You Forget About Me is kind of romantic. Like, it's still like, come on, baby, like, something, like, please, come on, let's do something nice. But The Sleeper is like fucked up. So they feel on very different levels in that sense.
When I was listening to the album again today on a loop, when The Sleeper came on is when I, like, broke a little bit. But in a lovely way that was cathartic and meaningful and enjoyable. But like the sadness definitely is there. But that's life, you know. We need sad songs. We fucking need them desperately. We need happy songs, but sad songs are the ones that just really are doing the Lord's work.
Yeah.
I thank you so much. Don't You Forget About Me is probably Thomas Keating's favorite song. Aww. And Jamie Woe loves a melancholy king. Gives you a little crown emoji.
Thank you, guys. Thank you to everybody in the Twitch room. I can't see any of it. I'm just on Zoom, so I don't know who you are, but I'm sure you have like amazing usernames and stuff. And they're all hilarious.
Yes, that I will completely butcher anytime I try to shout anybody out. I'm going to play Blood on the Snow on the way out. I believe that was the first, if not one of the first singles when this album was announced. Another real moody track. Love the fact that Totally Enormous Extinct Dinosaurs has a song about the impending extinction of your own species. Any thoughts you'd like to share about Blood on the Snow, since we're going to get familiar with it?
Well, seeing as you've already mentioned the sort of like climate change element of it, I wanted it to sound like one of the, I don't know if anyone listens to like Italian 70s, 60s movie soundtracks, but I wanted it to have that kind of sonic world or that kind of flavor to it. And I think this song and Thugs are the two songs that I'm most sort of like technically proud of. I don't hear anything in them where I'm like, oh.
That's a huge achievement for an artist.
Yeah, so these I'm very, that's why I put it out first, because I was like, I can stand behind this. Like, there's nothing weird about this that I'm not sure about, which was helpful as the first single for me. But yeah, I'm pleased with this one.
Good. Well, I'm so glad that I chose to finish the program with it then, because it is your crown jewel. And did you ever go to dinner with Maddie on? Somebody needs to know.
We had dinner last night. Yeah.
You had dinner last night? That's creepy that someone would know.
Yeah, that is creepy.
Thank you so much, Orlando. I really, really am so thankful that you were here to help me dust the cobwebs off of whatever it is that I do over here. And I'm so glad that you are back in album mode, and I will find a way. I will find a way to check out the show, because I really, really want to see it.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, and thanks to everyone who's watching.